It is a beautiful Sunday. We're only 3 weeks or so away from the NFL draft, so we got to get dynasty teams in order. We have a bunch to look at today. We are going to get this going for codenamed Kid Next Door. This is an IDP league. The 101 could be going Travis Hunter. Now, this is a question I've seen a bunch, and full transparency, I played in pretty much every dynasty league you could ever imagine. However, IDP, not so much. Now, I understand, of course, if you're playing in an IDP league where you only start one defensive back, one linebacker there, and maybe one defensive flex, it won't matter at all. Like, you are always going to be able to go ahead and you're always going to be able to find the depth. However, if you're playing in an IDP league where you actually have to start like 3 defensive backs, 5 linebackers, 3 defensive linemen, and 3 defensive flex, then all of a sudden you actually do have to care about what you're doing on the defensive side of things. Now, of course, do want to reiterate, I'm an idiot. I'm not going to be able to give much advice. Now, of course, I've heard people asking, how do you value Travis Hunter in IDP? Which I think is a super interesting question, considering the fact that you are going to get possibly additional time. If you can get wide receiver points and cornerback points and throw that in your defensive back position, it could legitimately be a cheat code. It could be like when Taysom's playing quarterback, however you get to play him at tight end. Now, way too early to know, but it is a super interesting hypothetical. I've done some recon and have a good authority that's his favorite player. He plans to get Hunter 101 and then another running back later. I made it seem like I really wanted Hunter. I definitely wouldn't mind having him, but my eyes are on Ashton Jeanty at the 102. So this is the #1 team in the league already. So codename Kid Next Door is in a phenomenal spot. I saw that he sent a trade question as well saying, this is an IDP league. 101 is going to be Hunter. 102, I'll get Jeanty. Thinking of moving for depth, includes 2027 first. Should I be still? If you're telling me you can trade Jahmyr Gibbs for the 103, 104, plus a 2027 first, you're going to go ahead and you're going to get the picks. Honestly, relatively easily here as well, if you're getting that additional 2027 first round pick. Because again, if you're saying Travis Hunter is the 101, the 103 is like Hampton, the 104 is Tet McMillan. Would I trade Gibbs for Hampton, McMillan, and a future first? Hell yes, I'm going to do that. But anyway, let's go back and let's look at the team with how it's situated right now. Again, we are the #1 team in the league analyzer by a decent little margin here as well. So we are in a really comfortable spot. And it looks like we already made that move selling Jahmyr Gibbs to pick up that 103, 104, which I really like the fact that we did. Now, with that being said, this is going to be a shallower format on the offensive side of things. Now, again, this is an IDP league. We do not have access to those individual defensive players that we're pulling in with this team evaluation at this point. We can just look at it from an offensive perspective, and we can keep in mind that it is a shallower format on this end. You are starting 8 offensive players, and if you're looking at the amount of guys that we are actually rostering, I mean, we only have 3 running backs on this roster. Right now, of course, we're going to have more after the rookie draft, but still, at the end of the day, it is going to be shallower on this end, and it looks like I actually need to add Jordan Whittington to my rankings as well. Hook 'em horns. I will say I saw that dude around UT's campus when I was I had a class with Jordan Whittington when I was a junior. Somehow he was like 17 years old. It was the spring semester. He was supposed to still be in high school, but he was like a 4-star recruit, so he was a pretty big deal. And he came and he was in my class when I was a junior, and he was like 17. No idea. But anyway, dude looked like a linebacker in person. I need to add him to my dynasty rankings. Don't think he's going to make too big of a difference no matter what. But anyway, checking out the roster, quarterback, obviously, we are just fine. We have Burrow, we have Caleb, we have Fields. It's a 1 quarterback format. There's not much to discuss. If you could turn around and sell Justin Fields for a bunch, I mean, hell, if you could sell Justin Fields for an early second in a 1 quarterback IDP league, I'd probably do it if we have Burrow and Caleb. But reality of the situation is you're probably not going to get that much for him. I'm going over to running back. We have Bijan. And you're telling me that we are getting Ashton Jeanty at the 102. If you are getting Jeanty at the 102, because Travis Hunter goes 101 in an IDP league, which again, you're saying you did the recon, you know what that owner at the 101 is going to do. If you are bringing in Ashton Jeanty, you arguably have 2 of the top 3 running backs in Dynasty today. Then at the 103, for us to be able to bring in Hampton, the 104 for us to be able to bring in McMillan, this is a ridiculous roster. We have today 2 running back ones on their rookie contracts that can continue to produce for years to come. And we have Hampton, who potentially could be a running back 1 this year. But nonetheless, I would rank him as a running back 1 in Dynasty right now. He's going to get better as time goes on. You go over and you look at wide receiver. We have the number 1 asset in a 1 quarterback Dynasty league in Jamar Chase. We have another top 10 wide receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown. If we're able to bring in somebody like Ted McMillan, who we're able to get that longevity from, minimum wide receiver 3 type production this season with wide receiver 1 upside in the long term. We have Tyreek to give you the short-term production here as well. Going over to tight end, we have Sam Laporte. This is an insane, insane team. Now, in terms of what we could potentially do to make it better, you're already by far and away the best team in the league. You said you picked up an additional 2027 first rounder. I don't see, to be honest, I don't see much, right? I mean, if we were looking at it being a league where you start 8 offensive players, we're starting the quarterback, we're starting the tight end. Beyond that, we have Bijan, Genty, Hampton, Chase, St. Brown, Tyreek, and then like McMillan, Calvin Ridley. So maybe you say you have enough depth down here at the very bottom where it makes sense to make a 2-for-1 deal where we potentially send somebody like Ted McMillan. And if we can package him, I don't know, we are even sending that 104 straight up for a veteran wide receiver that's really going to guarantee us the championship this season. Maybe that is something we can consider. It's really the only thing we could consider now. I will say we don't have our 2026 first. So because we don't have our 2026 first, I do think you're maybe in a spot where you would rather go into the season with that extra depth piece on your bench just in case you were to get an injury. So fact of the matter is, I think you have a perfect team. I love the Jahmyr Gibbs trade you made, and I think it put you in a situation where you have the best team in the league clearly, and the league analyzer doesn't even understand that the 102 is going to be Ashton Genty in this league. But if you were to make a move, which again, I want to reiterate, you are in a position in which I think you just kind of sit on your hands and you print money for years to come. I think it probably centers around trading that 104 and seeing if you can get in a veteran wide receiver that's going to be able to help you really win right now. So that 104, a couple different things that we can do with it. One, if you wanted to try to make that up tier to get to Brock Bowers, because this is that shallower format, maybe the 104 in Laporta to get to Bowers would be something you're interested in on a juggernaut team like this. Let me go ahead and pull up the trade calculator just to make sure that I'm not completely off here, because I have had some of these trades before that we've thrown out where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe that's not able to happen. So here, this is going to be a 1 quarterback league, right? We are not going to look at my rankings. We are going to look at the average of everybody's rankings here. So let's get this 1 quarterback. So we are looking at Sam Laporta, the 104 versus Bowers. Is there any way we can get this done? Saying we win the deal by getting Bowers, again, maybe an issue that you're going to have is, or not an issue, but maybe the way that you get this done is waiting until you actually are on the clock in your rookie draft. Because at that point, maybe the 104 is viewed a little bit more valuable if Travis Hunter does indeed end up going at 1, and that pushes Ted McMillan down to 4. And then you're able to make this swing. Outside of that, if you're looking at maybe a rebuilding team that could use the 104, this team's rebuilding here, but frankly, I'm not really wanting to trade Ted McMillan for Xavier Worthy. I don't necessarily think that makes you that much better of a contender right now. This team looks like maybe they're incentivized to go ahead and rebuild. I have no idea how they would compete. I guess maybe they have Kel. The team looks a little bit more like a contender. But if you wanted to throw out Ted McMillan for Marvin Harrison, I wouldn't hate that whatsoever. Looking at this team, they have Mixon and Henry. They're probably wanting to try to contend. This team just made that trade to get Jahmyr Gibbs. So, yeah, they're definitely trying to contend. I don't know if they'll be able to. This team has the 101. You said that they're going to end up going with Travis Hunter. They really don't have much running back production. So it will be interesting. Do they actually pass on Genty? Even if it's an IDP league, even if they are viewing Hunter as that cheat code. At the end of the day, are they really wanting to roll into the season with Trey Benson, Algier? They have Brian Thomas, Ladd, JSN, Rome Odunze. So one thing that you could do to just kind of guarantee yourself that you're going to get Ashton Genty is see if we can send them like the 102 the 405 and the 410 and just tell them, hey, I want Genty. You're going to get Hunter at the 102 regardless, just so you can kind of lock that in, because it'd be such a no-brainer for your roster here. But again, there's not much I can say. You already have by far and away the best team in this league, and the league analyzer is not even taking into account that 102 in your format may end up being Ash and Genty, which just makes your team that much better. But I really do appreciate you, my friend. I really hope that I was able to help you out in some way here. But again, you just have such a ridiculous team that there's not much I can do, to be honest with you. Now, let's move this over to Maddie's question. This is, hey, Mason, would like some advice going into the second year of our Dynasty League. I was able to win in year one, but I gave up most of our future picks to make it happen. Interested in your thoughts on keeping Kyren Williams or selling after the NFL draft to grab a rookie RB in our draft. Okay, so I will say, if you are thinking about selling a running back like the Kyren Williams, like the Chase Brown, like these younger running backs that have actually looked good on their rookie contracts, but don't necessarily have a ton of team investment into them. Like, they don't have the draft capital. They don't have the contract that really just absolutely guarantees them that starting job. You are taking a risk holding on to that player going into the season. Like, it would be safer if you were to just go through and sell them before the NFL draft to go get that rookie pick. Like, if you're telling me, Mason, I can sell Kyren Williams for the 103, that's probably something that I'd be looking to do. So here, if you're looking at the average expert ranks on the side at the moment, the 104 is actually ranked higher than Kyren. I think that this would be a pivot that I'd be willing to make. But anyway, going back to this, if you were to wait until after the NFL draft, the Rams don't address the running back position in any way whatsoever, and we go into this next year with just Kyren Williams and Blake Corum in the backfield. If you were selling Kyren Williams after the draft for a rookie running back, then at that point, I would actually be moving Kyren Williams up my rankings if the Rams don't do anything at the running back position. Right now, I think, again, his value is going to be a little bit suppressed because he's a little bit more of a risky asset before the NFL draft actually happens with how deep this running back class is. But anyway, we do have the number one team in this league, which is really surprising if you sold all those future picks. Now, again, this is a team that won the league last year, and pulling this roster up, it's insane. Now, it's a 12-team Superflex start 9 PPR, 0.75 tight end premium. So a couple different things with this format. This is not a start 10 Superflex league, which I would say is the standard format at this point in Dynasty. With this being a start 9 Superflex league, you are going to be a little bit more incentivized for us to build around those elite level quarterbacks. Just simple math. Start 10 Superflex league, 20% of your starting lineup requirements are going to be quarterback. Start 9 Superflex league, that's going to be bumped up to about 22.5%. And the expected points per game coming from the quarterback position may get bumped up to 35. I don't want to say as close to 40%, but about 35% of your lineup. And then also, the tight end position is going to be bumped up, not only because you're getting the additional 0.75 points per reception, but also when you take away those additional flex spots that you're typically putting depth wide receivers into, the tight end position is also going to account for a higher percentage of your starting lineup output from week to week basis in comparison to start 10 or start 11 Superflex league. Now, going over and looking at quarterback, we have Nix, Love, Baker. Really good spot. I mean, you're in a situation in which we are able to just kind of play the matchups between these three guys this next season. You have three guys that you for sure know are going to be starters, not only this year, but probably for a couple more years. And then obviously just kind of have to reevaluate every offseason, but they all have potentials to be starters for another 5, 6, 7 years. And yeah, I think you're just going to be playing the matchups, riding the hot hand here at quarterback. You have that third guy for bye weeks for a potential injury. I think quarterback is going to be just fine. Now, of course, if you had just a ridiculous amount of depth here, specifically in a start 9 league where wide receiver depth doesn't matter too much, I wouldn't be opposed to grabbing one of those depth wide receivers and sending him with a Jordan Love to try to get an upgraded quarterback in this format. But specifically because we have no rookie picks, probably not wanting to do that because depth will be a little bit harder to come by if we do get an injury during the season. Going over and looking at running back, we're in a great spot with Gibbs, Kyren, James Conner, and Trey Benson as well. And I would say a lot of times when a team pushes in to try to win and ends up winning that year, the next offseason, it could be time to just kind of hit the reset button a year too early, just reload, and then make sure you're coming back in 2026 extremely strong. That's not the case with this team. This team's strong enough where we're contending again this next season. I think you're contending this next year and then maybe hitting the reload button next offseason, as obviously we won't have any rookie picks this offseason or next offseason. So maybe while the team is incredibly strong right now, the depth is kind of going by the wayside as time goes on. But anyway, as it stands right this second, phenomenal squad in terms of contending this year. And for that reason, I am wanting to hold on to Kyren Williams. Now, if you got a great price, if you could sell Kyren for the 103, if you could sell Kyren for the 104, especially in a super flex league where if Hampton, if McMillan get horrible landing spots, you'd always just go worst case scenario like Cam Ward there and find a suitable trade partner for Baker, Love, Nix, whoever it may be. But I don't think you have to sell Kyren Williams, specifically on the contending build that we have right now. Going over to wide receiver, we have Jefferson, we have Lamb, we have Nico. This is what's going to allow us to be a contending team this year, and it's what's going to give us a lot of stable value going into next offseason as well, where next offseason may be the time that we need to reevaluate. Because say next offseason, hypothetically, not saying it will happen, but James Conner's a zero. Kyren Williams, maybe at that point, does not have a starting job in 2026. Again, not saying it will happen, but it is in the range of outcomes. Maybe Chris Olave gets washed out for whatever reason. Again, not saying it will happen, but it is in the range of outcomes. And if all of a sudden you lose three pieces like that, you're not able to replenish them because we have no rookie picks, maybe it makes sense to start selling off some of these veteran assets at this point to just really hit that reload button and come back extremely, extremely strong in 2027. However, again, the team is too damn good to do that right now, especially going over and looking at tight ends. We have Bowers. This is a 1.75 point per reception for tight end format. So Bowers is an absolute cheat code, not only somebody that's going to be able to help us contend right now, but also somebody that's going to be able to provide us that stable value for the next few years. So a lot of teams, I think it makes sense to sell these guys like Kyren Williams, James Conner before the NFL draft. Your team's not one of those. Go offer the 103 owner Kyren. Go offer the 104 owner Kyren. Because after the NFL draft, it's not like anything's going to happen to make Kyren Williams significantly more valuable than the 103, significantly more valuable than the 104, the range of picks that you're going to look at Hampton, Ward, or McMillan. But there could be something that happens to make him worth much, much less than that. So I'm fine going through and selling him for those prices today. But again, you don't necessarily have to. You would just be more so offloading risk for the upcoming NFL draft. You have a great team. This is, again, one of those, it's the number one team in the league analyzer. It won the league last year. It has enough pieces to be able to make a run at it again this next season. In terms of like what we're doing with this 403, I'm always of the opinion, like on a contending build, if you're on the clock at the 403 or upcoming, if you can sell this for a 2026 third, I would look to do so, just in case during the year, right, you get like a Kyren Williams injury, and then all of a sudden you need to make a play to get another running back, and you can send a 2026 third and fourth to go fill in that running back and still keep your ship afloat during the season next year. So wouldn't be opposed to just selling the fourth for a future third, so we have that ammo to make a trade during this next season. But yeah, the phenomenal team built exactly for your format. Number one team in the league analyzer, won the league last year. I think playing as of now should be you're just running to back, to be completely honest with you. But really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way, of course. Now let's move this over to a longtime member of the flock. And this is the third straight team. How do y'all all freaking have the best teams in the league? Third straight team here with the best team in the league. Nix it up. Not only the best team in the league, but there are really only two teams in this league that we would ever have to think about. It's Baskin-Dobbins and Nix it up. I'm thinking of trading Amon-Ra and Goff in a package deal. Should we keep them and try to get, or what can we possibly get for them? So first things first, when we see a league like this that is just wild with the league analyzer in terms of the discrepancy in value, where we almost have 10x, we have like 9x the value from the team at the very bottom. We have to look at the team at the very bottom here. Their running back one's Brian Robinson. Their running back two is Javonte Williams. Their wide receiver one's Judy. Their wide receiver two is Ayuk. Their tight end one is Taysom Hill. And they have no rookie picks. Like RIP stinky nuts. I have no idea how you could possibly mess up your team this bad. Now, please tell me we have his picks. No, we don't. Not only do we not have his picks, but at the same time, we do not have our own 2026 first rounder. So when we don't have our own 2026 first rounder, we are 100% incentivized to go ahead and try to contend this next year. We don't have the ability to pull the ripcord and all of a sudden play for next season, right? It's not like we have any incentive to try to get an early round one pick next year. With that being said, frankly, it doesn't matter. We have by far and away the best team in the league, so we knew we were going to be contending regardless. Now, looking at Nix It Up, we have Bo Nix and Jared Goff. I know you're asking if we should be trying to package together Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff to go get an upgrade elsewhere. The issue is just going to be in a one quarterback format. Let's go try to find somebody that could be interested in trading for Jared Goff. This team is Caleb, Herbert, McCarthy. They have no interest. This team is Mahomes and Kyler. They have no interest. This team is Daniels, Lamar, Burrow. They have no interest. This team is Stroud and Anthony Richardson. Maybe, probably not. This team is May, Love, Penix, Fields. No interest. This team is Jalen Hurts. Maybe, do they need another quarterback? I don't know. This team is Baker, Dak, Goff. This team is Purdy, Tua, Darnold's. This team is Allen, Young. Like, there's not going to be any suitors trading for Jared Goff, specifically in a 10-team, one-quarterback league. So my gut reaction would be, probably doesn't make sense to try to trade Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff because, frankly, I don't know what you can expect to get in return. Now, this is a very shallow format, and that's a big, big thing that I want to be pointing out here, because if this was, to be completely honest with you, like a start 11 league, I wouldn't even say that we have some issues, because the thing is, you look at the rookie picks. But anyway, we don't have any wide receiver depth, right? I mean, we only have the big three here with Chase, Jefferson, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. But in a start 8, 10-team league, let's just fill out a starting lineup. Bo Nixon at quarterback. Running back, we have Breece, Taylor. Wide receiver, Chase, Jefferson. Tight end, Bowers. For our two flex spots, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then we're playing the matchups between Alvin Kamara and Aaron Jones. Actually, we're not doing that because we're playing Ashton Jeanty instead. So you're telling me, as of today, Alvin Kamara and Aaron Jones project to be on our bench week 1, as well as Hawkinson and Kelsey. So this is a ridiculous team. Depth doesn't matter. The number one thing that I would say that makes sense for this team is it's almost inexcusable for us to not have an elite level quarterback just because you're so much stronger than everybody else in this league. Now, an issue that we may have here is what team has an elite quarterback that's willing to make a deal with us? Because again, you're in a situation in which a lot of these assets that we have are just pieces for right now. I mean, this is a contending team. This is a team that wants to win right this second. There aren't going to be many contending teams in this league with how strong your roster is and how strong this number 2 roster is with Neighbors, Thomas, Nico, Rice, Bijan, Bucky, and the 102, 104, 105, 106. So, I mean, y'all are really the only 2 contenders in this league. So I would imagine it would be very difficult in a league like this to sell Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones to go get that elite level quarterback. I think that they probably have more value on your roster trying to contend right now than they would for somebody else. And for that reason, what I would be looking to do here is pretty simple. I think this 107 pick is going to be very expendable for you. I think trying to sell that 107 and Bo Nix to get to the elite level quarterback would make a lot of sense. And we already saw the perfect trade partner for us. Going over and looking at this team, again, I'd be surprised if this team really views themselves as a contender. Like going back to our roster, our wide receiver 3 is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Their wide receiver 3 is Jacoby Myers. Like, how is this team going to compete with us? So I would approach them, and I think it honestly could be a win-win type deal if we can try to send them the 107 and like Bo Nix and go get one of their elite level quarterbacks. Like, can we see how far off that would be? 107, Bo Nix. How far off is it to get Jaden Daniels? Saying that we win this deal. What about Lamar? Lamar, we win this deal as well. What about Burrow? Do we have to go down to Burrow to get it done? Burrow saying we lose. My initial offer, of course, would be going for Daniels. My backup offer would be going for Lamar. But nonetheless, the trade in my mind for this team is let's go get the elite quarterback. That way we're dominant at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. There's no reason why we should be selling Amon-Ra St. Brown. We're a clear contending roster, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is just a perfect fit for that. So my number one thing would be approaching this team, trying to send them the 107 and Bo Nix to get either Daniels or Lamar. We can try to find another team that has a quarterback going back to this team at the very bottom, Stinky Nuts, right? This is a garbage team that 100% should be looking to rebuild. Can we send them the 107 and Bo Nix? And keep in mind, everybody, this is a one quarterback format to go get Josh Allen. The team is May, not interested. This team is Caleb Herbert, not interested. That's the main thing that I'm going to be looking to do is sell off that future asset. Because realistically, what rookie you're taking the 107 that hits your starting lineup when week 1, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, TJ Hawkinson, Travis Kelce are all on our bench. One thing we could look to do as well, I don't know if you would be interested in this, but the only other contending roster here at pick 2 has Kyle Pitts, Britton Strange. There's top 2 tight ends. So maybe they'd be interested in Travis Kelce, where we're frankly just not going to be starting Kelce with our own roster. So, I mean, you could also try to send them Travis Kelce and say like the 204 to try to get up to the 106 if you really wanted to maintain a pick inside the middle round. Keep in mind, 10-team league, so that 204 is really like pick 14. So like pick 14, Travis Kelce to get to pick 6. I think that those are the main moves that we'd be looking to make. Again, the first 3 teams that we've looked at in this live stream have just been the number 1 teams in their respective league. So, absolutely insane and very difficult to come up with stuff when you're looking at juggernaut builds like this. Devin says, dumb question, but how could we get one of these reviews? Can you link your league or do you have to enter in everyone's team? You can link your league. So just go ahead and go to the site. I know I don't say this much because I assume most people have already done it, but flockfantasy.com, go to the My Teams page, and this is completely free as well, just in case you haven't. It's not free for me to look at your team in the live stream just because I don't have unlimited time, but I'm working as much as we can to get the site the best that we can for y'all. And also, we have big announcements coming in the next week. Freaking massive. So just go hit add new. If you play in Sleeper, it's as simple as copying and pasting your Sleeper ID, hitting submit, and you will have everything loaded up for you here. So yeah, definitely, if you haven't already, it's free. I would advise it. Again, not free for me to look at it in the live stream, but free for you to hook it up with the software and see things on your own. But let me refresh. And before we get into this next team for C. Miller time, I'm going to just see a couple of the trade questions that we have. So Tony says, 1 quarterback, do I need to make this trade for a running back or do we keep the 109? So it's a 1 quarterback format. The 4th. So here, I think it's kind of easy to say mid-second versus mid-second. Let's take him out, right? The 4th versus 3rd, realistically, who cares? It's like the 109 and Caleb Williams in a 1 quarterback format for Achane. Yeah, if you need a running back, go get Achane. I think it's a very, very fair price point to do so. Like, we can go ahead and we can put this into the trade calculator as well. They receive the 109. Caleb Williams. We receive Achane. Yeah, saying we win by a pretty big margin here. I think it's honestly kind of an easy spot, to be honest with you. But let's move this over to C. Miller time. Now, this is this Flea Flicker? Yeah, this is Flea Flicker. I know nobody cares about this, but I played on MFL exclusively from like 2014 through like 2020. I was very reluctant to switch to Sleeper for whatever reason. I think it's just probably because I was so accustomed to MFL. Never played on Flea Flicker during that time. I was in 20+ Dynasty leagues every year since like 2014. Never on Flea Flicker. If everybody would do Dynasty leagues through GroupMe back then. Anybody ever reached out to me wanting to plan like a starting league on Flea Flicker, I'd shoot it down. And now I will say in the year 2025, there's no reason to have your league on Flea Flicker. Maybe back in like 2014, it made sense. But anyway, I appreciate you anyway, my friend. And I would advocate for your commissioner to move it over to Sleeper unless you all have some weird league settings where you can't. Now, 12 teams, start 10 Superflex. Going into year 5, I've won twice in 2022 and 2024. I've lost a total of 4 regular season games in the last 3 years. I traded Purdy, the 110, for the 102 to get Marv. Then I sent my 2025-2026 seconds for the 103 for Daniels. Okay, so yeah, getting Daniels is going to put you in a good spot. Now that I won again, I feel like I'm getting older with Trav and Hill, plus the other teams are gaining. So real quick, let's look at what the actual, oh my gosh, this is a freaking insane team. I wish I knew how many teams were in this league because it's a super flex league, right? We have Burrow, Daniels in at quarterback. Running back, we have Jones and ETN. Not great, but then you go over to wide receiver, Chase, Lamb, AJ Brown, flex, Tyreek, Marvin, tight end, Travis Kelce. So yeah, there are definitely aging assets on this team, right? Aaron Jones isn't going to be here for the long haul. Travis Etienne's not going to be here for the long haul. AJ Brown should definitely have value in the coming years, but his value over time is going to be going down, and you're really just banking on that consistent production. Travis Kelce, maybe you got a year left. Tyreek, production and value going down. So we definitely have contending assets on this roster. Najee, you should say, over the next few years, production and value will both be going down. Lockett's dust. You have Judy really is the only depth. So completely understand where we currently sit in terms of, yeah, we have some of these veteran aging assets, but at the same time, given the stability that we have with our elite pieces, such as Burrow, Daniels, Chase, Lamb, and we even have the elite production with some of those guys that may see their value go down over the next few years, such as AJ Brown. You are running it back and you are looking to contend. Now, I can't see exactly what rookie picks that we have to try to go ahead and try to come up with maybe a strategy for us this rookie draft season. But we have Najee. We have Warren. We have Judy as quality depth pieces. I know you said that we ended up trading away our future seconds. I don't necessarily know if we have our 2026 first. If we have a need on this team, it's going to be running back right now. Of course, we have 4 names right now with Najee, Warren, Aaron Jones, Travis Etienne. Can't exactly know for sure which one of these running backs will be hitting our starting lineup this next year. Maybe it's not necessarily a guarantee. The only thing that I would be wanting to do at this point on this roster is pick up a few additional short-term running backs to try to push in this one more season. And then after this year, I think in 2026 and beyond, it's pretty safe to say Kelsey's probably a 0. Tyreek Hill's closer to a 0 in 2026 and beyond than he is an elite receiver. And maybe at that point next offseason, you are kind of looking to hit the reset button and looking to sell some of these veteran assets like AJ Brown. But it's way too early and your team's way too strong to do that. Even if you feel those other teams are gaining and you're maybe not by far and away the #1 team in the league anymore, I still think that you have another run in you. And if you have any, I can't see what rookie picks that we would possibly have for this year. But if you have any rookie picks for this season, of course, I think the #1 priority is going to be running back, which is the best draft class to go after that position anyway. And if you are sitting there with some of those late seconds, early thirds, I wouldn't even fault you for going ahead and trying to move off of some of those. Like if you're sitting here with an early third, one traded for DeAndre Swift and just try to bring in some additional running back depth pieces going, well, you know what? Maybe we don't necessarily have the elite anchor RB, but we have the elite receivers, quarterbacks. And if we can just cycle through almost with a 0 RB build in Dynasty here, I think that could be very advantageous. But again, I think you're probably reloading next offseason. It's probably a little bit too early for you to look to do that this offseason, because I do think that you have a really, really strong team here. But let's move this over to our next team. It's going to be Becca. Mason, not really sure where to go from here. I made some trades, and I think I got myself into the middle of the road team. With no picks to build off, what would you be doing with this? So this is Kittle in the middle. This is finally not the best team in the league that we've looked at. I think we've looked at like 4 teams this live stream, and every single one's been the best team in the league. Here, we are the second best team in the league. So excited to check this out. Nonetheless, my friend, this is going to be a super standard Dynasty League, super flex, 12 teams, start 10, PPR, half point, tight end, premium. I'd say this is going to be the most standard Dynasty League people are playing in. And this is going to be a little bit of a difficult spot. The reason being is we go ahead and we look at this picks column. We have 1 pick this year and next year, and that is going to be a 2026 third rounder. So when we are sitting here with 1 pick and it's that 2026 third, I think that you are in a position in which you are heavily incentivized to try to win this season. And if we go ahead and if we look at some of the assets that we have on this build as well, we can say Kittle, who's like 31 this year, he's going to be worth less in 2026 than he is right now. Mark Andrews will be worth less in 2026 than he is right now. Mike Evans will be worth less in 2026 than he is now. Calvin Ridley, same thing. Jacoby Myers, same thing. Stephon Diggs, same thing. Joe Mixon, same thing. And obviously, Tony Pollard, and to be determined with Pacheco and Charbonnet. But we have a lot of these declining assets when it comes to pure value. We don't have the future picks next year. So you are in a position where you are kind of pigeonholed to having to try to win right this second. And for that reason, I think that you can't sit here and not address the running back position or really try to upgrade wide receiver. I don't think you can win no matter how good your quarterbacks are going into the season with Isaiah Pacheco and Ricky Pearsall as your running back 2 and wide receiver 2. Now, of course, Mike Evans will actually be your wide receiver 2 in production, but just in terms of the actual dynasty value that we have, and we don't have any of these 2025 picks to be able to come in and bolster any positions that we are looking at. So I think the main thing that we are needing to do with this build is maybe try to diversify some of this value that we have away from, say, the elite quarterback with Jaden Daniels / Patrick Mahomes, and maybe a little bit more in the direction of, I don't know, an extra running back. I think it suits you to down tier here at QB, which typically that's not necessarily something that we are wanting to do. But again, I don't necessarily know if you have another possibility given the lack of production that we should have at running back and the fact that we kind of have to plan on contending this year. Now, an issue is going to be when we're looking at an asset that's so strong like Daniels, is not too many teams are going to be able to afford to go out there and upgrade to get Jaden Daniels and give you enough in return. So going through and looking at some possibilities, an example of a trade that we could be looking to down tier from Daniels is maybe picking up one of these elite running backs such as Bijan Robinson and another stopgap quarterback such as Jared Goff. So let me go through and let me change this to Superflex. Let's get rid of these guys. And then they receive Daniels. And sorry, let me refresh this to make sure that we are pulling in the Superflex values. Yes, Superflex. So they receive Daniels. We receive, say, Bijan, as well as Jared Goff. What is the calculator saying? It's saying that we slightly lose this deal. I wonder if we can swing a little bit more value from this roster. Like maybe getting a 2026 second and third. Let's say 2026. Oh, sorry. Not early to mid first. But instead, let's go second and third. What does this look like instead? Saying a fair deal on this front. Of course, we're not sitting here saying like, oh, that second and third is going to help us contend this year, but it does give you some additional flexibility if we need to actually hit that reload button during the season. Say like you go into the year with Bijan, Mixon as your top 2 running backs, Mixon gets injured, or maybe Mike Evans gets injured. If we have that additional 2026 second and third round pick, we'll actually have some firepower in which we're able to go ahead and we're able to actually stopgap that like sinking ship. Another possibility for that Daniels trade, and again, I love Daniels. I don't want to trade away Daniels, but I think you maybe just have to if we're going to contend with a team that has this little depth. Who has all the depth? Who has all the good players? Like going through and looking at all these teams, like this team ahead of us has no running backs. We don't really have any running backs. This team has no running backs. Is the Hunters really the only squad here with RBs? And going back and looking at the possible trade again, maybe if you wanted to try to get that 109 instead, could be something that you send their direction. But yeah, it looks like there aren't too many squads. Like this team's number 1 running back's freaking Sean Tucker. So I guess what we can actually look to do as well is we can maybe look to just get one of those rookie picks that we pretty confident that we're going to be able to get a... Ooh, this actually may make some sense here. Let's play around with the idea of getting Stroud and Barkley on a contending team. How far off is this value here? We're losing the deal as of now if we go from Daniels to Stroud and Barkley. It could be advantageous for us to bring in another one of these assets that can actually bolster our depth in a start 10 format where, again, we have no depth, we have no picks, and we actually kind of need to contend right now. Maybe if you can bring in that Brains and Ayuk player. Can y'all please let me know in the live chat real quick? Would y'all rather have Daniels or Stroud, Barkley, and Ayuk? 10-team Superflex. Kind of ignore the context of it. Again, just making sure that this is a deal that we could possibly send out there and get some interest for. We got Leabo saying they would rather have Jaden Daniels. Another vote saying Daniels. And again, my explanation on why I think we'd be looking to do something along these lines is just looking at the roster. We're kind of incentivized to win right now. We just don't have the firepower. Maybe if we can get that 108, I don't think that they'd be willing to send us these 4 assets. If we can send back maybe a slightly smaller piece, send back like McMillan, get that 108. I would 100% do this deal. If you're going to get Stroud, Barkley, the 108, and Ayuk, just because then at that point, you have the quarterbacks to be able to contend. You have Mahomes, Stroud, Purdy. Is it the strongest position in the world? Probably not. But then we go over to running back. We have Barkley, Mixon, Pacheco. We can contend with that. Going over to receiver, we have Puka, Evans, Ayuk, Pearsall. We can contend with that. Tight end, we have Kittle, Andrews. We can contend with that. We have the 108 again for the additional value. So I think that's a possibility. Going ahead and looking at, like, this team just doesn't have the juice to get out. That's the issue when we're trying to down tier from these true elite level assets such as Daniels. Can we see what team has the 101? I think it's probably this team at the top, right? No, they have the 103, 104. Because the team at the 101, we can down tier and we can still put ourselves in a position in which we want to contend. This team is the 101 here. Joe's Schmoes. So looking at the 101 with Ashton Genty, that will be an asset that really does help us contend right now. I would say, obviously, it's an absolute no-brainer. If you would be able to trade Daniels for Burrow in the 101, we do it in a heartbeat, but that's 99% chance going to get rejected. The other end of this that maybe you could consider would be like the 101 Penix and another asset. It's just difficult to come up with that other asset. This is for sure going to be a rebuilding roster, right? So it's not like they're going to be super interested in trading away Neighbors, Harrison, or any of those future picks. Yeah, I don't know if this team has the juice to be able to get to Daniels, even if they sent that early second, the late second. Even if they sent pretty much every pick that they have this year with Michael Penix. I think maybe your only true trade partner is going to be that team that we looked at previously, the Hunters, and seeing if we can pivot off from like Goff to get Goff, Bijan, and that 109. It's a great team, but it's a team that you need to win right now. I think if we are going to win right now, we got to pick up an initial running back, wide receiver starter, especially as we have no future picks. So if we do get an injury during the season, we're kind of screwed if we don't have that depth. And sadly, the only way I think you can pick up those additional starters is by going through and getting rid of Daniels, because we don't necessarily have any of those other assets that we could tear down from. But again, I really do appreciate you, and I'm wishing you the best of luck. But let's go over and let's look at this from Money Strokes. It's new to Dynasty in a 14-team Superflex half PPR tight end premium format. So I will say, if you are new to Dynasty, this is an absolute brutal format for you to get your feet wet with, right? Just in case people that are watching this have not played in a 14-team Superflex league. Actually, I may have to skip over this real quick because I actually may have to, let me see if I can view what team this is from another page, but I don't know if the team name's on that. So we may have to skip over it real quick. But anyway, if you're not used to a 14-team Superflex league, if you just do the simple math, like 10-team Superflex league, everybody wants to have 3 starting quarterbacks, of course. And okay, our league name Dynasty Warriors by user, team name eMoney. Okay, we're eMoney here. But 10-team Superflex league, everybody's going to want to have 3 starters. Everybody can't have 3 starters, and actually a couple teams can have 4. There are 32 starting quarterbacks in the league. 12-team Superflex league, most teams can have 3 starters, right? There'll be a couple teams that are left over only with 2, but you get to a 14-team Superflex league. Everybody wants to have 3 starters. There are going to be some teams stuck with only 1. There's maybe going to be a team in your league that decides to grab 4, and the supply and demand ratio for that quarterback position is going to be thrown so far out of whack that building around a quarterback in a 14-team Superflex league is massive, especially because this is a start 8 14-team Superflex league. So the wide receiver depth isn't going to be as important. The running back depth isn't going to be as important. 25% of your starting lineup requirements are made up of the quarterback position. 40%, especially in a half PPR league, 40-ish% of your starting lineup output from week to week perspective is going to come from quarterback. And again, staying with that, because this is only a start 8 Superflex league where wide receiver depth doesn't matter much, it's a 1.5 tight end premium format as well. The tight end position is going to hold extra weight to it on top of that. So building around quarterback, building around tight end here is exactly what we are wanting to do in this format. You're saying we took over this team last year, tore it down, and rebuilt it. Looking for guidance on the next move, staying competitive, trade targets, players and picks, and goals to focus moving forward. So we are the 3rd team in the league analyzer. Taking over an orphan 14-team league and being able to do this is incredible. Pulling up this roster is incredible. Now, again, I want to remind everyone, this is going to be a 14-team Superflex league. So you need to lower the bar on what the expectations are going to be for a contending team. For us to be a contending team in a 14-team Superflex league, you need to have a top 14 quarterback for it to be a QB1, top 14 running back, and to be a wide receiver 2, you have to be a top 28 wide receiver. To be a wide receiver 3, you have to be a top 44 wide receiver in a 14-team Superflex league. So super comfortable spot here. Going over and looking at QB, we have both Burrow and Mahomes. Now, of course, you can sit here and say, oh, look at the points per game that Patrick Mahomes has given over the past 2 years. It's not great, yada, yada, yada. Frankly, it doesn't matter. We know Patrick Mahomes is going to be starting quarterback this year, next 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 year. It's a 14-team Superflex league. We need to have the security. Patrick Mahomes will be a top 28 quarterback for the next decade. We know that for sure. We know Joe Burrow will be a top 14 quarterback for the next decade. We know that for sure. Quarterback position, so strong. In this format, that's what we care most about. Beautiful. Going over and looking at running back, we have the top end production with Achane. Beyond that, not much. But nonetheless, again, Trey Benson only needs to be a top 28 running back. Can he be a top 28 RB? And we can be weak at RB2 if we're just going to be crushing our league mates at quarterback. Wide receiver. We have the cornerstone piece with Brian Thomas. We have quality depth with Waddle. Keon Coleman's a great example. Josh Downs, Keon Coleman, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, Xavier Legette, wide receiver 5. If I'm in a 10-team league, I'm terrified if that's my wide receiver 3, 4, 5. In a 14-team format, great wide receiver depth. Tight ends, tight end premium format, where we have McBride, Hawkinson, Kraft, likely massive tight end premium here as well. This team's incredible. Specifically for the format you were playing in, this is like the perfect team that I would want to build from the jump. Now, does that mean we don't have to make any moves? Probably not. Like, I definitely think that we can afford to make some moves here. Obviously, centering around, how do we try to win right now? Because I think that this is a team, given this format, we are a strong contender this next season. And I think probably it could serve us to send Tucker Kraft, to send Isaiah Likely in a league where there's a tight end premium like this. We actually should be able to get somebody to pay up for him. Going over and looking at this team, Apex Predators, where they're sitting with Ben Sinnott and Dalton Schultz as their top 2 tight ends, they're probably in a situation in which they could use that extra starter. A couple different ways that we can go about this. I think you could actually look to maybe sell them one of those guys like Tucker Kraft, Isaiah Likely. If this is truly a half-point PPR league and you get 1.5 points, additional points for tight end receptions, that's insane. I think in a format like this, you could possibly sell Kraft for the 114 and the 201. Sell Likely for the 114 and the 201. So pick 14 and 15 in this year's rookie draft with a massive tight end premium like this. If you're able to do that, and then that gives you the flexibility to maybe bring in 2 rookie running backs, or maybe during the rookie draft, turn around and sell those picks 14 and 15 to some rebuilding rosters like this. This team here probably thinks that they're a contender, but let's find a rebuilding team here. This team doesn't even have a tight end. Like, go make that play for Josh Jacobs. I really think that's going to be the only thing that we can do. With how this team's situated, I think you've already done a great job adjusting to your specific league format. I think the main play is trying to sell some of those depth tight ends to either go get rookie picks to give you the flexibility to adjust the running back position, or maybe just go sell an Isaiah Likely or Tucker Kraft straight up for a running back. Given the league settings here, I think you can charge a pretty nice premium. To keep your quarterback room the same, keep running back, wide receiver the same. This is a team that should look to contend. We don't have our own future first. We have somebody else's, though. So during the season, if we really needed to go out there and get that running back like Joe Mixon, if we see him producing, then maybe we'd trade that 2026 first rounder from Shaggy to go do it. But where is Shaggy? Shaggy's the 9th team here. Shaggy looks like they may actually have a little bit of a decent squad here in a 14-teamer. So, yeah, maybe that pick isn't like super high and we are able to get rid of it. But again, really do appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way here. And I think you did a phenomenal job for your league format in particular. And I know I've said that 1,000 times, but again, I do just want to reiterate, it is so important when you're playing in a league like that to make sure that you're adjusting how you need to with your format. Now let's check this team out for Lowly Worms, 2nd team in the league analyzer. This is a 2 quarterback, 12 team, start 10 half-point PPR formats. So very standard league, right? Don't need to be making too many adjustments. Non-tight end premium league here, so tight end positions aren't going to matter too much. And diving into this quarterback, we are sitting with Daniels, Drake May, as well as Dak Prescott. It's a very comfortable spot at QB, right? We have the elite guy, we have a guy with upside, and we have somebody that we know we can trust. Like, we're going to be able to start these quarterbacks this next year, and at the same time, we can safely project this quarterback room out for years to come in terms of the production and value that we are going to be getting. The main issue with this team is going to be the running back positions at debacle. We have no running backs. Jonathan Brooks is maybe our most valuable running back on this team. The dude's not even playing this next year. Now, what is hilarious is to see that this running back room is ranked 11th according to the league analyzer. I don't even know how that's remotely possible. The running back room that's ranked worse, according to the league, yeah, I would flip it. I would say you have the worst running back room in this league. If you want to contend, we need to address the running back room. And I would say that this is a roster that probably is suited to contend given the production that we have elsewhere, where we are sitting with Puka Nacua, DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy, Ricky Pearsall, so 4 suitable wide receivers for this next year. And going over and looking at tight end, while we don't necessarily have somebody that stands out in a big-time way, we can comfortably say that, yeah, one of Isaiah Likely, Jonnu, Ferguson, Britton Strange will be something this next season. Like quarterback, we're great. Wide receiver, we're good enough. Tight end, we're going to get it sorted out. Now, if you had no rookie picks, it'd be very different, right? If you were sitting here with no rookie picks, I'd say, yeah, you know what? Maybe you actually do have to try to kind of reload and really attack this in 2026. But we have Brooks. We have Garindo. I'm sorry. We have the 103. We have the 110. We have the 112. So you are in a position in which we can make plays for running backs this year. Now, of course, the 103, maybe you are boxed out. Maybe the best pick at the 103 is going to be Tet McMillan, which, to be honest with you, while 100% running back's a massive need, I think if McMillan's the best pick that you have at the 103 and the best prospect that's on the board, I would just go ahead and pull the trigger because, again, this is going to be a start 10 league, right? So let's say we're starting 2 quarterbacks, we're starting at tight ends, we start 2 running backs, and we're up to 5 there. We still at that point, even if we really need running backs, we need to start 5 wide receivers. We're not throwing a running back into the flex spot, right? We have another flex to fill out. And in that instance, we have Puka, DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy, Ricky Pearsall, like best case scenario. Obviously, Pearsall may not be startable this next season. We just don't really know. He's just a projection at this point. But regardless, we're going to have an extra flex that we need to fill out. So taking Tet McMillan at the 103, he is going to immediately go into your starting lineup and kind of solve that need. And I'm not saying that's the guy you need to target. I'm not saying that's the guy that you need to get. However, what I am saying is I think you stay flexible enough where if he's the best prospect on the board, you can go ahead and pull the trigger. Now, what's going to be a little bit awkward is these picks here at the end of the first round, the 110 and the 112. If I go over and look at the rookie rankings that we have on the site right now. Now, again, these aren't my exact rookie rankings. This is going to be the expert average, and I think it's probably better to look at the expert average in this case so we can maybe get an idea of what we should be expecting to be available to us. The 110, the 112, there may be no running backs on the board. This may be a range where you are looking at wide receivers, tight ends, and like Shedeur Sanders. Tyler Warren, Loveland, Sanders, they're not really helping our team much. Now, if somehow we end up getting Hampton at the 103, maybe Tet McMillan finds himself a great landing spot. We get Hampton at the 103, and then at that 110, we end up taking Matthew Golden because we need that 5th wide receiver anyway, then cool. But the issue is, if at the 103 we take Tet McMillan, we are still sitting in a situation where we probably want to contend this next season, and we have those 2 late firsts with the 110 and the 112, and there are no running backs available to us in this range, you're maybe in a situation in which you are best suited to actually go ahead and look to trade those picks. Now, what we can do here is we can actually go and look at the average expert ranks and look at the running backs that are ranked around the 110 and the 112 and see if there are any RBs that we can maybe trade these picks for that would suit our team a little bit better. So let's go ahead and let's try to find some of these teams in your league that 100% should be rebuilding. This team built around all contending assets, right? Taylor, CMC, Henry, Kamara. That team's going to be a contender. This team is Quentin Johnston as their wide receiver 3. Tracy is their RB 3. You could see them trying to convince themselves that they're a contender. I would at least put out a feeler with them and say like, hey, what are you thinking? I'll send you the 110 and the 112 to get Kyron and David Montgomery. Maybe that puts you in a situation in which we have two veteran RBs. We have two veteran RBs. Then at wide receiver, we have Puka, DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy, Pearsall. We add in Tech McMillan. We can go into the season with that team, with the plan of contention. Then at that point, we really just feel it out, and we have the additional 2026 first, 2026 second, just in case something happens and just in case we actually need to trade for a different running back during the season. Now, if you cannot if no rookie running backs fall to you, and if you can't buy a rookie running back at a reasonable price, you are in a situation where you have a lot of these assets where you could afford to just kind of hit the reload button, come strong in 2026 with your already stockpile of picks that you have. But maybe at that point, you see if we can sell DJ Moore for 2026 first and second, sell Jerry Jeudy and a 2026 second to try to get a 2026 first, build around the rookies that we take in this year's rookie draft, and guys like Puka Nacua, Ricky Pearsall, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and then whoever we take at the 103, the 110, the 112. But again, I think my plan A at this point with how strong your roster is to try to send that 110, 112, go get two running backs, because the tight ends that are probably going to be available there probably won't make a difference on your team in terms of contending right now. We have the additional future picks anyway, so we have the flexibility during the season. We just kind of got to worry about what we're going into the year with. Now, if you're purchasing running backs, I'd always probably suggest that we wait until after the NFL draft, just so we can dodge any potential risk of us trading for the running back X like Kenneth Walker 2 years ago, and then they select Zach Charbonnet and that player creators in value. So, especially with the class that's as strong as this. And also, who knows, maybe Caleb Johnson finds himself in a bad spot and you end up getting Caleb Johnson falling to you at the 110. And in that case, maybe you're not best suited to trade that pick, but it would be something I'd explore. Now, I really do appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. And again, congrats on having a great team. We are the second best team in the league analyzer, so I think we're probably in a really good spot, but I really do hope I was able to help you out in some way. Now, I think we are going to probably call this live stream here. I will, what's it called? Be streaming today's Sunday, right? So maybe we stream on Tuesday. Let's see. Yeah. Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. We're going to be streaming. I'm going to log off here, record a video to send over to the editor, but much love, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate you, and I cannot wait for y'all to see what we have cooking up, what we've been working on now for months. And I think you're really going to like it. And I'm excited.